In the last few weeks, Ali Abdaal marked turning 30 by releasing a couple of videos on the topic. The problem with them both for me was that they sounded a bit like he thought his life was kind of half over. He asked the advice of several influencers and gurus, most of whom were within 10 years of his own age, so I thought I'd redress the balance a bit. So here's some advice for Ali from someone with a bit more perspective, like another 30 years perspective. Now the first thing to say here is this is not a hit piece. The reason why I'm even appearing here on YouTube is because during lockdown I stumbled over Ali's channel and realised there was a space on YouTube for people with English accents and a bit of experience of life. I've come to praise Ali, not to bury him. However, here are some points from someone who's twice Ali's age. First one is this: time speeds up, but don't panic. Studies have shown that the perception of time passing more quickly as we get older is actually commonplace and is a phenomenon. If you think time is flying by now when you're 30, wait till you get to your 50s and 60s. I'm not going to spend time wondering why it happens, except to say that it doesn't always help to feel that acceleration taking place. It can induce something like panic. When you realise it's your birthday again when you seem to have celebrated it no more than a couple of months ago, it can be a bit disorientating. But the good news is that you've also got more time than you almost certainly feel like you've got when you're 30. And that moves us on to point 2. There is no success by date in anybody's life. A pressure that always seems to surface for everybody, myself included at the time, is that they set themselves dates by which they want to achieve things. But why? Because they won't have enough time to enjoy it? They'll be too old? My view was fundamentally changed when I read the book The 100-Year Life by Linda Grattan and Andrew Scott. They pointed out that younger people these days can expect to live well into their 90s and beyond. Now Ali Abdaal would seem to me to have a lot going for him in the longevity stakes. A doctor who knows and takes action on keeping fit and getting a good diet. I mean, unless he gets hit by a truck, he should make 3 figures easily. But what are the implications of that? Well, your healthy life stretches out much further than society currently suggests it might. There'll be no reason why Ali and most of us need to stop work between, say, 60 and 70. Ali can continue to follow his dreams like most of us can, probably well into his mid-80s without any physical or mental reasons to stop. My point is that in reality there's so much more time than there appears to be when you're 30. You can take time out. You don't need to have a timetable for success. Next point. There's almost no decision taken at 30 that has such a negative impact on your life that you won't be able to recover from it easily in a few years. This is quite a big one for me. We agonise about making decisions and worry ourselves sick that we could make some horrendous mistake from which we may never recover. But the reality is that when you look at the decision in the context of what happens if it goes wrong when you have a time frame of decades, things just don't seem quite so critical. Now I've had significant success and massive career failures as well, but neither of them has completely irrevocably changed my life for me. Yes, of course we still need to take time and do our best to choose wisely, but sometimes we don't make decisions at all because of the fear of failure. Now actually this may not be one that Ali Abdaal suffers from particularly. He's made some pretty hefty decisions already and I hope he continues to make them. Next one. Life is about now, so live in the present. Look, I know this is a cliche and I'm sure Ali does this actually, but it's incredibly hard sometimes and I know I'm still guilty of looking forward far too much. Yes, even at my age, rather than enjoying what's happening right now. We always regard people who fail to plan as idiots, but they aren't necessarily that stupid at all, and there are some real advantages to living in the moment. Planning for the future should never mean you aren't enjoying your current life to the maximum. Worry is the most futile of activities. It takes the gloss off your enjoyment of the here and now over something that could, but might not happen. Do your best to mitigate the risks of the event you're worrying over and then get back to living your life now. And here's my last one, and for me it's the biggest one of all. Just lighten up. I think this is a great piece of advice for anybody, and I do wonder having watched almost all of Ali's videos, whether there's something here for him too. A while ago, when rugby was an amateur sport, the Irish rugby team always used to lurch from one crisis to another. And I heard a phrase used then that has always stuck with me, and actually it's become something of a mantra. The situation with Irish rugby was described as critical but not serious. Life is to be enjoyed. An indicator that you're enjoying yourself is whether you're laughing a lot. If you honestly feel like you have at least one laugh out loud moment a day, I'll bet you feel like fundamentally life is pretty good. And if you aren't, well, perhaps it's time to seek that out. There's very little in a day that precludes fun. Go out there and enjoy it. Don't forget, life is critical but not serious.